Hi, I'm Milan Smith. I'm with Joe Byers, and we are here doing the Kookville podcast. We usually what we do is we just talk a little bit about Kookville, and then we just talk about whatever we feel like talking about. So it's kind of a meandering process here. But I want to say this is our sixth podcast. Yes. And I have read that 92% of all people stop before they get to 10 episodes.
So we're close.
We're very close. I am determined to do 10. And then
we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm really enjoying doing the whole podcast thing. So probably want to keep doing it. But I can understand why people would quit. It's going to be frustrating because sometimes you feel like you're screaming out into the
darkness.
Yes, exactly. Wonder if anyone's actually hearing you.
Well, they're listening in the Congo, so.
That's true. We have a number of people listening to this podcast in the Congo. And also, for this past time, our number 2 behind the United States was India, which is kind of interesting. So thank you to India and thank you to the Congo.
Don't forget to.
We appreciate it. We thank you, Congo. You guys are great. But let's talk a little bit about Kookville. For those of you who don't know, Kookville is a sitcom. It's about a reporter named Dominic O'Connor who sleeps with his boss's wife, gets fired, ends up in a small newspaper in a small town full of weirdos. And he suffers for his sins. And you'll laugh at his pain. But yeah. So we shot 10 episodes for the first season, though I guess I should explain something really quick.
Yeah.
We've had problems getting everything edited on a timely manner. So we had to put the first 2 episodes out. Mainly, we had to get them out because we needed to protect our trademark. To have a trademark, you have to actually use it for commerce, and we were running out of time. So we put the first 2 out, and that's considered season 1. Everything we put out after this will be considered season 2, although in our minds, the first 10 that we did is season 1. So it's kind of a tricky situation. But we have some good news. It is on Amazon Prime Video now, those first 2 episodes. It is also on Fossum, and it's been licensed to Tubi, although it's not on Tubi yet. It often takes 4 to 6 weeks to get on there. And there's another place it went to. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's a couple of other sites.
Was it Plexi?
Yeah. Yeah, Plex is one of them.
Something on Plex. And I think we established that Plex is a streaming service, something like Pluto or something.
Yes.
It's probably a channel on Plex.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, there's like 3 or 4 dozen streamers. Some of them are very specialized. And those are very cool. It's not just Netflix or Apple or HBO. So there's a lot of smaller ones that aren't as well known. But this is great opportunity for us to get the show out, which I think is great.
Yes.
But the biggest news beyond that is we are trying to ramp up. We're going to start in August. We're going to start ramping up to do season 2 in January, February, March, maybe into April, if necessary. We're going to try to do the second season in 2 batches. The first batch is going to be 5, maybe 6, depending on how quickly we're able to shoot. And then we'll do the second batch after the summer. For those of you who don't know, here in Florida, our summers are brutally hot. And unlike a traditional sitcom, a lot of the stuff that we do, a lot of the action is actually outside. So that means it's not just going to be in a nice, cool interior, well, I can't say studio because we don't really have studios. We can't afford a studio space, but,
For example, if this was a big production, Dominic wears a shirt much like you're wearing right now. In fact, probably is the same shirt. And if in a big production, they might have bought 10 of those and have laundry availability on site to wash and dry and press. So if the actor sweats through, we just change out a shirt. Well, you shop at J.C. Penney's, so you got the one shirt. So
Yeah.
if you sweat through, that's a big consideration. I mean, it's one of the problems or the interesting things that we have to deal with on a very low budget production is that how many shirts could we get? How many,
Right.
And if the actors are wearing their own clothes, then sweating through their clothes becomes an issue. It becomes a continuity issue. You got a sweat stain in one shot, and the next shot the sweat stain's gone and it's back. That creates continuity issues, if nothing else. Also, the other actors are ticked off at you for sweating so much. So, that's something that we have to really consider when it comes time to shoot. We can shoot indoors when it's hot, but if it's any kind of outdoor stuff, after about April into May, it starts getting pretty brutal.
Yes, very much so. Kind of tied into that, we're talking about wardrobe as well. We also got to keep in mind, like in a bigger production, you can just easily change your clothes out. I think it's interesting is how often they change it. When I watch TV shows, I never even noticed that. It wasn't until I started doing this, so I realized how often sometimes they change.
You're talking about whole wardrobe changes.
Yeah. Like going from one day to the next. I always had a blind spot about that kind of stuff, which I thought was kind of.
I don't notice that. I've been an editor in the past, and if in the wide shot the guy's arm is up like this, and then in the reaction shot his arm is down, I'll notice it right away. But changes in costume, my wife, she'll spot if it happens in big movies and whatnot, where the guy's wearing a yellow shot and a wide shot, but then on the medium close up, his shirt's now a pale green. My wife picked it up, but I'm kind of blind to it.
Yeah. But so I kind of got us off track there. So we're going to do the first batch in the early part of next year, and then we're going to do hopefully the rest, with any luck, at the in the second half of the year, like October, November, early. Well, actually, we can't really do in December because you won't be available.
I have a side gig.
Yeah, he plays the scary Santa.
I'm a sweet Santa. Much sweeter than I am in Kookville. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's true. But October, November, hopefully, we'll just have to see how it works out. But that's our current plan. So we'll also be starting to talk to people to make sure they're still interested. That's another problem with these kind of independent projects. You don't always get to keep everybody. Sometimes people move away. When we did the web, we had a bunch of people. There's 4 people in particular that I really loved, and I wanted them to be in with the TV show. And they moved away. And that's very difficult. That's very complicated because then you had to find someone new. And if we have that between the first and second season, that means we're going to have to scramble a little bit to try to find replacements, So, but hopefully we won't have that too much. One of the nice things about having something that's, I say established, which makes it sound like we're in, but something that's already been started. You don't have to find as many new people.
Right.
There are some new characters that'll be there maybe just for one episode that we'll have to find. But there are certain characters that are either the regulars or the recurring characters that we won't have to worry about replacing. So let's hope.
The big news, season 2 is starting to shape up. We weren't absolutely certain we were going to be doing a season 2. And then somewhere along the way, it just kind of became taken for granted that we were doing a season 2. At least that's sort of my feelings about it. We never really discussed, hey, let's do season 2. It just sort of happened that we were, when we do season 2. So
yeah. One of the big things is my feeling is when you're a small independent with a very tiny marketing budget. When I say tiny, I mean really non-existent. Yeah. It takes time to find your audience. And the fact that our show is a little bit weird, oddball even, it might take a little longer. And my feeling's always been from the get-go, we're going to have to go at least 2 seasons before we find our audience. But I think once we do, we're going to have a very, what's the word I'm looking for? An audience is really going to love what we're doing and is going to, stick with us throughout the run of the show.
A devoted audience.
I want to do at least 5 seasons, maybe 6 if things are going really good. If beyond that, the show would be about something beyond Dominic O'Connor. It would be more about the town in and of itself and some of the weirdos and some of the things that they do.
And for those who don't know, who haven't seen the show, Dominic O'Connor is kind of the straight man. To this, he's just a regular guy caught in some regular, rather unregulated circumstances. His poor choices, messing with his boss's wife, and then he walks into this rather oddball community, and so he's the glue that holds the whole thing together. You couldn't really make a show that's nothing but oddballs. It would get too much of a good thing too fast. So he's kind of the voice of normalcy that sort of weaves throughout the show.
Yeah, kind of like the audience's representative into this town that's full of a lot of weirdos. Not everyone in the town is a weirdo. There are some people that, we have the kooks, and then we have, I call them the straights. We could call them normies if you want, like Susanna. But her problem is she really hates Dominic, which makes Dominic.
Personally, I think she kind of borders on kooky because of her hate of Dominic. That makes her a little kooky.
I guess I could see that. And
her late husband, or her former husband, or I guess maybe former husband. There's an underlying feeling of unresolved issues with that.
Yes, there is that as well. But that comes in the future. So let's talk about the snappers, Joe. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We are still keeping busy, even though we haven't been shot for a while. We haven't shot the regular season. We are keeping our hands in, and we're doing some snappers. Now, I think probably you're the only person I've ever heard use the term. You got it from O. Henry. But a snapper is a story with a twist ending. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, basically, I call them the snappers. They're basically tall tales by the Skunk Ape Boys, which Joe, by the way, is one of the Skunk Ape Boys. And they tell these tall tales. Yeah. He looks the part, doesn't he? And he is, the Skunk Ape Boys are telling Dominic these whoppers. So you can call them whoppers if you prefer.
I prefer snapper because from my character's point of view, they're all true. Everything we can tell them is absolutely true on the face of it.
Right.
Your attitude is that they're spoofing the guy and they're making up lies. I don't think that's what's happening. But the audience can decide whether they think the guys are fun and Dominic, or if they believe them, they're not true, because they do have substance and alcohol problems. So that might account for some of the tall tales they're telling. It might have been drug or alcohol induced. Or the audience could come to the conclusion, like me, that everything is as they're describing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you have been writing these snappers. Tell us about the last one that we just shot.
We did. You're going to have to help me with this one. We did. Uncle Dubby and the Alien.
Yes.
Without giving too much away, the boys are met in the deep woods by a alien spacecraft, and through some unfortunate miscommunications, they feel like the aliens are making fun of them or having a go at them, and so Uncle Dubby and one of the aliens begin a round of fisticuffs in the deep dark woods in the swamp that goes on for an hour and is resolved in a really oddball way. We'll leave it kind of vague at that, but that's why Dominic feels like they just make these stories up to tell him. I think the boys truly encountered an alien. They said they did. I believe
Dominic is skeptical of this claim.
Well, he's skeptical
and remains skeptical.
Yeah.
Well, hey, he's a He's a journalist. He's supposed to be.
You're supposed to be skeptical. The boys, on the other hand, are trappers, fishermen, hunters, uh, uh, people that spend all their time in the swamp, in the woods, all their free time. And I'm not sure what either one of them does for a living. Maybe they trap, for all I know.
Yeah.
You would think I would know, being one of them, but we never really talked about what their source of income is.
Oh, well, we do in season 2.
Oh,
At least one of the sources of income. They have multiple sources of income.
Okay. Does that involve
From
sassafras?
sassafras, but in the first season we talked about swamp candy. You got to watch the show to understand what swamp candy is, and whatever you think it is, it's worse.
Yeah, it's definitely worse. Yes, okay, so they have alternative streams of revenue, let's put it that way, which may or may not be legal necessarily.
It's a gray area.
It's a gray area. So yeah, so we have shot, let's see, I did 6 of them. We've shot 4 of them. We're in rehearsals for another one, and then one of them is going to be incorporated into Mossman, which we haven't really talked about, but we'll bring that up here in a minute. But
great segue to me.
Yeah, there you go. What's a segue? Oh, about 15 pounds, right? Yeah. So when I was writing the Snappers, I was looking for. I kind of featured a lot of stuff that's prevalent in the South. So raccoons, at some point possums, large alligators, et cetera, et cetera. And they're called the Skunk Ape Boys because of the first episode they were in. They had claimed to have, and I believe did, trap a skunk ape, which is like sort of like Bigfoot. It's a Florida version of Bigfoot. They claimed to have trapped one of those, and they were drunk. So unfortunately, when they went in the hole to get him in chains, he overpowered them, stole their ladder, and then stole their pickup truck. I'm not sure where I was going with that. Suffice to say that when I was writing them, I started looking for cryptids or unusual stuff in the Florida area or the Panhandle. And one of the things I came up on was the Mossman, which is a giant moss-covered entity of some kind of cryptid or paranormal being that is just a big pile of moss.
Yeah, definitely a cryptid.
And when we got, he featured in 2 of the Snappers.
Yeah.
And so one of them, we decided to take that particular snapper and fold it back into a mockumentary, a mock doc that we're doing, a mockumentary. So in the process of writing these things and rehearsing them, we got to talking about Mossman, and we sort of got the idea of doing maybe a 20 or 30-minute little miniature documentary on the Mossman. And then the next thing you know, it goes up to 40 minutes. And now you're looking at maybe doing something more along the lines of an hour and 50, something like that. Is that right?
80 minutes is what I was aiming at.
So an hour and a half to an hour plus of some kind.
Yeah.
And so we've actually started shooting that. We did kind of a specialized shoot yesterday, the first shoot of the mockumentary. And that's going to be interesting because the mockumentary will have some scripted elements, but almost all of it will be done improv style. So the actors are going to get a chance to stretch their limits a little bit and make this stuff documentary on, or documentary. To them, it's a documentary. To the rest of it's the mock.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be a lot of fun to do. Mock-a-doc. So the boys are doing a documentary, and we're doing a mockumentary about the boys doing the documentary. Yeah. If that makes sense. So it's a mock-a-doc.
A little bit of a meta on that.
Yeah.
Documentary about two guys doing a documentary. So that's one step out. It's kind of like Inception, but in reverse. Always one step out.
So that's our news. So for now, hopefully we'll have some more good stuff to talk about next month. So what we do sometimes at this point is we just start talking about things that interest us. Our social media maven, Stephanie, had a really good one. And that is, what movie or TV show would you want to die with or go in the coffin with you? So what do you love so much that you would want it with you for all time?
I have so many things that I like that the coffin would be full of media and I would be out on the outside looking in. But if I had to choose one film, it would probably be Out of the Past.
Yeah, you and I saw that together a couple months ago, right?
Yes.
It's really good movie, film noir.
I record stuff on that plays on Turner Classic Movies, and that was on. I've recorded it several times over the years and watched it. It's one of my all-time favorite films. It has one of the most amazing performances in it by Robert Mitchum. If you've never seen the film, you really would be doing yourself a favor by watching it, because the height of low cool, like sort of like really cool, is Robert Mitchum in that film. He's about half lidded. His eyes are about half asleep. It's all intentional. He was a fantastic actor. So he's doing everything he should have done. But the character is just a little bit too cool for the circumstances he ends up finding himself in, and where he puts himself in the circumstances. And it's got a nice Hays Code ending, is that the bad guys never get away clean. So it's well worth your time to watch it. What about you?
Well, my feeling is if I'm going to be stuck in a coffin for eternity, I'd want to do a TV show so I can have more stuff to watch. But I'd want something that was really pretty good. So I would go with the first 5 seasons of Supernatural.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only seen one episode, so I can't really talk much about it.
It's a really good show. Actually, this is interesting. So Joe and I were talking about this other show called Kolchak in the 1970s. And pretty much there's a bunch of shows that actually come from that show. X-Files.
X-Files, for sure.
Fringe. Supernatural. If you watch these, you can see where they got all of their inspiration from. There is one episode in Kolchak where they kind of grab Kolchak, and the government drugs him up and holds him for several days before they let him go. Well, in like the 3rd or 4th episode of the X-Files, they do that to Mulder. Or is it Fox? I don't really remember now.
Fox.
Fox Mulder. And so he ends up leaving, walking around like a zombie because they put him on so many drugs. Things like that. You can just see all the connections between Kolchak and all these other shows, where somebody's investigating the paranormal. The original idea of Supernatural was going to be this guy who was an investigative reporter, finding out that a lot of these crazy stories, urban legends, were actually true. Now they changed it up to something a little bit different, but that original storyline, Kolchak was an investigative reporter.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm a bit older than you, and when I was, I guess my senior year in high school was the year that Kolchak, The Night Stalker, came out. The movies had been broadcast, the first one a couple of years before that, and then a year before it, and then the series came out. And I loved it. I mean, I would pretty sure it came. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure it came on Friday nights, and I would stay home and watch that on Friday night just to see the episodes. So I really enjoyed the episodes. I mean, I really enjoyed the show.
Yeah, it's really good. Only went one season, 20 episodes, and then boom. And there were 3 episodes that were unproduced produced,
Oh, really?
which they turned into, they turned them into graphic novels, or I guess that's the right term, because I don't think they were like full length graphic novels, but yeah,
I
they
didn't know
did that later.
That's interesting. It was a
Yeah,
great show, and Darren McGavin played Kolchak.
yeah.
Fantastic guy for that role. He was perfect in the role. And then I can't remember the Simon something that played his boss, and his boss was kind of a hard tack, old school editor, scream at Kolchak. You better get onto that kind of an approach to Kolchak. And it was a very nice dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, I think that's a big heart of the whole show is the friendship / professional antagonism between the two of them. It went through the entire show, and I think it really it brought a lot of the humor.
Yeah.
The show came from the relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, so it's available, I think, on some of the streaming services. If you've never watched that, Supernatural, I know, is available because I've seen it, but I'm pretty sure that the Night Stalker is available as well. The Kolchak, the Night Stalker, because the first film they made with him was called The Night Stalker, and then the second one was The Night Strangler. Wasn't that what it was called?
Kolchak is also on MeTV.
Oh, okay. Stephanie was telling you that, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Stephanie, our media maven.
So if you want a treat, it's a little dated because again, it's almost 52 years old. It came out 52 years ago, but it's still better than a lot of stuff that gets put out today. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a curmudgeon, so I can say that.
Hold on. What is this?
Fridays or Saturdays when it comes on.
Oh, it comes on Fridays and Saturdays on MeTV.
Okay, there you go. People don't know.
Yeah.
They'll know.
You should definitely watch it. It's really good. It's really good. Some of them are really exceptionally good. One of my favorites, the Spanish Moss Murders, which has a Mossman of all things.
Weirdly enough.
So, and this is back in 1974, so that kind of predates what we were doing.
By just a little bit.
Yes. Very briefly, the Père Malfait is a Cajun term for
Mossman.
The Mossman. It goes all the way back to the 1700s. So this is an old kind of a story, and we're just updating it a little bit.
Yes, so that'll be a lot of fun. So look for that. We'll probably, once it's done, we'll let people know. One thing I did want to do, I guess we're getting close to the end here, aren't we, Milan?
We are. Yes, we are.
Wanted to do a big shout out to all the people in the Congo who are watching.
Yes. Okay, we already did that, but we can do it again.
We didn't do a shout out to them. We just mentioned that they were watching, but I'm doing a shout out to them. A little more formal. Try and keep up. It's a little more formal, saying hello to the People's Republic of the Congo.
I stand corrected. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I thought you would be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So before we go, we were talking about some of the interesting stories that we went through, that we endured shooting the first season. So we don't really have time to do all of them, but is there any one of them you want to bring up and discuss?
Well,
just to let people.
The one that hits strongest for me, and it may not be the strongest story, but in one of our episodes in the first season, we had requirements of a goat. And it just, you'll figure out here why Milan hired me to play in this series, because I find stuff. So I have a friend who keeps goats, but he lives, 40 miles away?
Oh, that far?
Yeah, it's probably 40, 30 anyway. But 30 sounds like it's just a 30-minute drive, and it's not, because it is circuitous, and it goes through the little towns that you've got to go through. It's a long drive. It's up north of Whiting Field, which won't mean much to our friends in the Congo, but Whiting Field is a ways away from where we live here. So we took my wife's truck up to borrow the goat. We got the goat in a crate, put it in the back of my wife's truck, went to back out, and my friend's driveway was terribly pitted. It's on an incline, and it had washed out. So we didn't know what happened at the time, but in hindsight, we found out that when we were backing out, the truck slid down in the hole and broke the brake line.
Oh, that's what happened. Okay.
So when we get out, my wife tries to put the brakes on, and there are not any brakes. Now, you have to understand, we're getting the goat for the shoot that day, just an hour or two in the future. This is an hour or two before the shoot. And all these people are there to shoot a thing with a goat. I don't have a lot of options about this. So my wife was kind of freaking out about trying to drive with no brakes. And I'm not advocating that you should do that. I'm just saying this is what we did. So she pulled over, finally got it stopped and got out, and I got behind the wheel. Now that 40 miles, whatever it was, 30 miles, I've got to drive back on no brakes. And I used the handbrake. Used to that cars had a handbrake in the center console, and it had a button on the end of it. So you could reach up and press that button and hold it and use that brake to brake your car. It wasn't designed for it, but you could brake. You could actually slow the car down using that handbrake. The brake my wife's car or truck has is it pulls straight out and ratchets, and then you press the button on it's a rod that comes out, and then the handle is offset from that.
Yeah.
And you put your hand around it and press the button, but it isn't easy. It's not like the handbrake in the console where you just press the button and you can easily do that. This is much more difficult to apply the brakes. So I drove paranoid all the way back to my house. Milan met me here at the house. We transferred the goat out into his vehicle, and then he took me down to the shoot site at the shooting location. But that was a long trip with this goat in the back, bleeding the whole way, and me riding along with no brakes, not a single one.
When he says bleeding, he means bleating. The goat was bleating.
Not bleeding.
Not bleeding, but
that kind of thing. It was a long trip. It was a long day because at the end of it, I still have a truck with no brakes and a goat I've got to get back to my friend.
So bottom line, folks, Joe almost killed himself for your entertainment pleasure.
So now you've watched this. Once you watch the episode with the goats, you'll know what it took to get the goat in that episode. It wasn't as easy as it seemed.
Goat wrangling, Joe the Goat Wrangler. Thank you, Joe. You're the man. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Hey, I really appreciate it if you had stuck with us all the way through. Again, this is our 6th episode. We are definitely going to go at least to 10. And hopefully Joe will stick with me after that. We'll see what happens. Yeah, he's shrugging his shoulders there. We'll see. All right. So thank you. And we'll probably be back in a few weeks. This is July 20th, I believe. So sometime next month. So thank you very much.
Carol, good talking to you.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.